On this week's episode, finally, full Apple Watch integration comes to Peloton.
And we have some new updates for the iOS app, plus a new pricing structure for the Peloton bike, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 73 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm Amanda Siegel, and I am joined by my co-host, John Pruitt. Hey, John.
Hey now. What's up, Amanda?
Oh, good. Oh, I have a little visitor there I see in the corner. My little Oreo is walking around. I had a little, that was funny. How are you? I am good. It's been a good week. It's been a busy week. And how about you?
Yeah, it's been a good week. It's flown by. I can't believe, the week's over.
The weeks are really flying by.
It was a good week workout-wise. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good classes that I did to discuss.
Yeah. And there's lots of exciting things going on. So I guess, folks, before we get on with the show, we always like to remind you how you can keep up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is available and released on our YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand side of the video and hit the notify button so that you never miss an episode.
And you can also listen to us in traditional podcast format. We're on all platforms. Just search Pelo Buddy TV. Click that subscribe button, hit notifications so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review. We love to read the great reviews we receive from you, and also we appreciate your feedback too. So let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, we've really appreciated you guys commenting on the episodes as they're coming through. It's nice. It makes us enjoy what we're doing even more. So thank you for that. And of course, folks,
I know we had one positive review that they made it very clear they appreciated it being ad-free.
Yeah, we did see that. and absolutely. And then there was another about how I need to go and get an Instapot. So I'll be sure to look into that. I will be sure to look into that. And of course, folks, we are on Facebook and Instagram and now Twitter. So just search Pelo Buddy and follow us on those platforms so that you never miss an episode. And I guess, John, now let's get on with the show.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
Well, folks, we all love an update, and this one we think lots of members will be very pleased about. This past week, we saw Peloton quietly roll out a long-requested feature, full Apple Watch support across all Peloton devices. In the past, one had to own a Bike Plus in order to use your Apple Watch and a heart rate monitor. But as of this past Wednesday, members can now use their Apple Watch for any Peloton device, including the original bike, the Peloton Tread, the Tread Plus, as well as with the iOS app. So, your Apple Watch will now work as a heart rate monitor, which I think is really, really cool. An additional feature, though, is that if you own a Bike Plus, you can now not only you can not only use it when you're riding, but it now allows you to use it as a heart rate band with any class type, except if you're doing lane break. So if you're doing a lane break workout, that has been eliminated because as we know, lane break does work as its own complete mini app on the bike. So it does not sync with the watch. But folks, as you know, the Bike Plus has supported the Apple Watch through a technology called Gym Kit. However, Apple's licensing agreement meant that it was only allowed to be turned on for cycling classes. So we're not sure what's changed, but as of Wednesday, the update did in fact allow members to use it with any class type on the Bike Plus. And of course, one doesn't have to now go out and buy an Apple Watch, But what it has done is it has allowed those folks who do have an Apple Watch the convenience of not having to have an extra heart rate band or monitor in any of the modalities. If you need help setting up your Apple Watch, just head over to pelobuddy.com. And we have instructions as to how to do that. Chris has it really well laid out right there on the website. And one last thing, if you have your watch set up, you will in fact now also get push notifications on your watch prompting you to start the workout. So again, if you need further help, head over to pelobuddy.com. Almost forgot to share this with you guys. Yes, if you haven't spotted them yet, you can now get Apple watch bands on the Peloton site with Peloton logos. So for crazy people like myself who want to be decked out in everything Peloton, you can add that onto your list of apparel things that you want. Unfortunately, though, we have noticed that it's only available in North America. So those folks in Germany and the UK and probably Australia do not have access to the Apple Watch bands as of now.
In Canada.
So Canada too? Okay, I wasn't sure if Canada
I assume when you said North America only, I assume that excludes Canada as well.
Yeah. So the bands it actually comes in a set of two. It's about $32, and there's one white band and one grayish black band. And in next week's episode, I'm sure I will have mine on because I have ordered one.
And they're the traditional rubber style Apple Watch bands.
They are. And it did kill me because you can get them on Amazon for like, $9.99 for 4, and these were $32 for 2. But it's got the got the P on it.
It's got the logo.
It's got the logo. So
hopefully it doesn't rub right off after.
No, I'm sure that hopefully you're right. Hopefully with all that sweat. Yeah. But I think that those were some good updates. So I really like the fact I used it, in all my workouts over the last couple of days, and I kind of liked it that you get to see your Strive score, and it almost made you work a little bit harder. I did, and I'll talk about it in my picks of the week, but I was doing an arms workout and I felt like I couldn't slack because I saw my heart rate going down a little bit, and my Strive score was going down. So I felt like I needed to up my game. So I think it's kind of a great update. I think it's an awesome update. So hopefully you guys feel the same way.
Jackie was excited. I don't wear an Apple Watch, but Jackie has one, so she was excited.
Okay.
Then she also said, though, I wish I had waited to buy the Peloton heart rate band because now she doesn't really need that.
Correct.
But we did get an extra one, and I've started to use it. I replaced my Scotchy Rhythm, and I actually really like the Peloton heart rate band because there's no kind of real power button. You just sort of tap it. You strap it on, and then the nice thing is it pretty much says your heart rate immediately. With Scotchy, sometimes it would take a minute or two for it to register on the tablet to actually start showing your heart rate. But Peloton's it comes up instantly. So I'm going to stick with the Peloton one going forward.
Yeah. And as I said, I think it's for us folks that do have our Apple Watches and we like to use them, but you certainly don't have to go out and buy one just because it does this. But it is nice that it gives it on all the modalities, which was nice. So even my yoga and my meditation, I could do it on everything. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Just
What's up next?
Some extra metrics now are going to appear.
Yeah.
So Peloton, it appears they are beta testing a new feature in the iOS app, the Peloton digital app for iPhone, that allows users to view a body activity section as well as a class breakdown for time spent between cardio and strength for the boot camp content. So I looked, I don't have this yet. I looked at a recent boot camp I did, and I didn't see the extra information for myself in the app. But the body activity section, it shows a visual representation. Hopefully we're going to show some screenshots in the recording as I'm talking to kind of see what we're talking about. But it shows a visual representation of the human body and highlights the muscle groups that'll be worked in the class. Muscles highlighted in the darker blue color are the primary muscles that are worked, while the muscles that are highlighted in the lighter blue color are the secondary muscles worked. So we add a few screenshots that kind of give you a better sense of the targeted areas for that class. And then the second new aspect is a more specific class breakdown for tread and bike bootcamp classes. So currently, users who don't have the beta testing version just see a class plan for the bootcamps, which just lists out that gives the time spent in each section between the bike and mat, between the bike tread and the mat, with transitions in between. But they can't view any more specific information other than that about the cardio portion that the class entails. But the new features, beta testing, the total amount of time spent in the cardio portion versus the floor, and displays that information like a little part in a little pie chart, so users can see kind of which portion makes up the majority of that class. So hopefully, you and I will begin to see that in the app, and if you have it, if you're watching or listening at home, if you have that, chime in, because we're curious to see how some of the members that currently have access to that are using it or enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure, because that's definitely, it's actually interesting because it's kind of the same concept as tonal. So when you go on to, do some of your strength workouts with tonal, it'll show you which of your body parts that, it is using. So I guess they're kind of getting more towards that, and as they bring out more strength products and focus on strength, it'll definitely be helpful from that perspective. So that's kind of cool.
So staying on the topic of the iOS app, there's been another update made to it. This is on the new class details view. So the newest update to the Peloton app for iOS has changed the layout of information when you're viewing a class, an on-demand class. So previously, when you would click and select a class, you'd first see the class rating, the level of difficulty, and underneath that would be the description followed by the playlists. And so now the layout on the app has been updated to look more like the format when you're viewing it on the Bike and Bike Plus. So you'll see a horizontal menu bar at the top above the class thumbnail, and then you navigate to different sections with more information about the class, such as the music, the class plan, Strive score, member activity. So I guess they wanted to make it more of more in line with that, the same view that you see on the Bike or Bike Plus. So just a little change.
Yeah, it definitely caught me off guard. I must be honest. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, what's this?" Because it was definitely different. It's different.
Yeah, it seems jumbled
when you
around.
look at it. Yeah. But got used to it pretty quickly. So it's a nice way of being able to see this. And John,
I really like it. Sorry, I really just like the fact. Remember, I don't know if you recall back in the day, but on the app for the longest time, you couldn't view the playlist. I don't know if you remember that, but if you wanted to actually see the music, you had to have a bike or the tread, and you had to go into the class on either device to see the music playlist. Like that, for some reason, they weren't showing that information for the longest time. They kind of made that a feature just for members who had the actual hardware. So that I remember when that was like a huge update, because I was always wanting to see, what songs were in there, what tracks they used. So it's just thinking back to one of those updates.
Yeah, I must be honest, I do not remember that. So that's interesting. Yeah, that kind of sucks because definitely we use our app a lot, and especially now with picking classes ahead of time. A lot of the time people do that because of the music. So, if you're kind of lying in bed the night before and you want to get your stack together or bookmark classes, load them into your stack, it definitely is helpful to have it on the app. So I'm glad
it's just funny how far you can see how far the app has come from 2017 to now, making a lot of updates.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, switching gears, we have been talking about this for a few weeks now, and this past week, the Wall Street Journal, as well as CNBC, actually announced that Peloton are in fact looking at bundling the bike and subscription, and are going to be testing new price plans, which started this past Friday in states like Texas, Florida, Minnesota, and Colorado. So the bundle subscriptions will run between about $60 and $100 a month and will be offered for a limited time as an experiment that really aims to find a price proposition that will help return Peloton to profitability without crippling its growth. I mean, that's really what Barry McCarthy's come in and wanted to do. And we've been talking about it for a few weeks. We didn't know what it was going to look like. And this past week, it in fact was rolled out. So the idea here is to really identify a price point that brings in new customers by drastically decreasing the costly upfront purchase of a bike and instead allowing the customer to spend the money over a longer period of time. Customers will also be able to cancel their subscription at any time and actually return their bike to Peloton should they decide that they do not want to, proceed and keep going. So, for those folks that like the idea of having the 30-day and now through the end of March, the 100-day ability to test out the hardware, with this new plan in these 4 states, you actually can return it at any time should you decide you don't want to pursue using it. So as of now, the offer will only be available though for in-store purchases. So the article does go on to say that this is adopted. That if this is adopted, the model would be a major shift for Peloton, with the idea behind this being for Peloton to be sold as a fitness service that can be canceled at any time rather than as a major purchase with a subscription attached. So definitely an interesting concept that they're looking at, whether this maybe will change revenue cycle and drive business in a different direction. It did also add that new CEO Barry McCarthy has said that he plans to reshape his executive team. He's looking at considering manufacturing simpler bikes and upend the company's capital spending strategy. He also said that Peloton will spend most of its money improving its digital interface and content options. He went on to say that investors that control 70% of voting shares, including John Foley, have agreed to put off any discussions around selling the company while he tries to execute his turnaround plan. So some additional information that dropped as we were getting ready to record was that Peloton, in fact, did drop the new plan on their website, calling it the One Peloton Club, the new way into Peloton. So the website goes on to share that new customers can get the full Peloton experience with zero commitment, cancel anytime, and free returns. They can also share that, one can buy out, as I mentioned, the bike at some point. It says buy out at any time. You may purchase the Peloton bike. So you not only can return the bike, but if you decide you don't want to do this continued, monthly payment, you can in fact buy out the bike. Right. So they have a One Peloton Club agreement for buyout pricing. After the buyout, you will continue to be charged the cost of the All Access membership fee until you separately cancel. Now, the caveat here, in order to qualify for the program, the location for the delivery of the bike must be within 30 miles of one of the participating locations. So if you're living in Florida, 30 miles from either the Aventura store or the Merrick Park store. Those were just a couple that I saw just being done in Florida. I was looking to see which locations they had. Any member who is currently or has been an All Access member in the past 12 months is not eligible to participate in the program, including any member who is currently participating in that 30-day or 100-day home trial of the bike or Bike Plus. So if you jumped in the bandwagon at the beginning of March to get that 100-day, accessibility with no cost to you, you unfortunately are not eligible. So it would just be for completely new customers.
Brand new. Gotcha.
So I guess it's nice to know what this new plan finally is. It should be interesting. Curious how they picked the demographics of those 4 locations and what made those, the ones that they wanted to start out with. But I'm looking forward to continuing to understand and learn more about where this goes and if in fact it does increase revenue for the company and make for a better way for folks to buy it. And then, John, on Tuesday, Peloton's new podcast, Fitness Flipped, that we've been hearing so much about, was released. As a reminder, folks can find the podcast directly on the app under Outdoor. The first podcast has Adrian Williams initiating a walk, which then rolls over to Tunde, who has 2 guests. The first episode has writer Anne Helen Peterson, who I was not familiar with, as well as comedian Phoebe Robinson, who both chatted to Tunde. The theme for the week was stress. What is it? How it manifests in our lives and how we can deal with it. And talks about how, in order to de-stress, we need to care for ourselves and each other, while Phoebe discusses how she deals with stress of her success and finds joy. The podcast, folks, is about 30 minutes long, and it does count as a walking modality. So you find it under the app in Outdoor, and it will count. Yeah, it will count as a walk, and it tracks your heart rate and everything else. Because I did in fact do that. On Thursday, a second podcast dropped with Tunde chatting to a member. And John, I know that I didn't have an opportunity to get to listen to it yet, but I think you did. So let's hear what your feedback is on this.
So I wouldn't say it had Tunde chatting with a member because there was no back and forth conversation between Tunde. The guest was a NICU doctor. In the hospital NICU section. It was just, hopefully this isn't the format going forward for the member interviews, which come out every Thursday. Tuesday is more with talking with people, in the community, celebrities, professionals, like they had on this first episode that came out on Tuesday. But Thursdays, it was short. It was like basically 10 minutes. But basically, I don't know if they had an intern or a producer call this person, and it was just her talking the whole time. There was no interact. It was almost like the person was just like talking on her own to no one.
Oh,
because Tunde, it was like Tunde never even spoke to this person because she just introduced the person, and then it cut to basically her audio of her just talking about what she does, but there was no interjection from, like, Tunde clearly wasn't in the interview.
There with her.
There was no interaction there was no interaction like and like any interjection, like a follow-up question. So just at the very end, Tunde was like, "Thank you to our guest," and then she made some little comment, but there was no indication that they ever like spoke together.
Very interesting.
And then halfway through, they started playing some different sound effects, like from a class and like hospital sound effects. It was kind of strange.
Okay.
I mean, it was well.
Where did you find it?
But
where can you find it? Because
I listened to it I listened to it on Spotify.
Got it. Okay. So that one doesn't drop on the app. I assume
it's on Apple Podcasts. I assume it's everywhere.
Okay,
but
it doesn't drop on the app.
Promoting
it's
it
not
with
on the
Spotify.
app. Okay, but it's not
I'm sure it's on Apple Podcasts, and
I'm
sure it's on other podcast platforms, but I looked at it on Spotify. So I just thought it was super lame. Because there was no interaction. Like I thought Tunde was going to be having a conversation with this person, and all it was her just continually talking about the kids in the hospital and COVID. And I was like, okay, she's doing like a lot of good, as a doctor in, the NICU section. But I thought Tunde, I was waiting for Tunde to be like, oh, who do you love to ride with? And there was none of that. So
right. How did you get into Peloton?
Yeah. So super disappointing. Hopefully they aren't because in the Tuesday, Tunde was like stroking the egos of these 2 guests, who love to hear themselves talk the whole time. which I wasn't really into that either. I was hoping for more of like a Peloton related discussion, about how these two guests might. I mean, they really didn't touch on Peloton very much. So
Phoebe did a little bit. Phoebe at the end kind of spoke about how she was a Peloton, user and did work out. But you're right. I mean, the first guest, Ann Peterson, did not.
She just sounded like she loved to hear her own voice. And she had like this vocal fry going on where she, no, I'm sorry, but it was a big, it was the first week was a miss for me. Hopefully they have some different guests. And I really hope the member interviews improve where, I hope that the member interviews are like the interaction that Tunde had with the special guest, the author, because that's how they should be.
Right. And I got to be honest with you, John, hearing what you have to say, I doubt it. I think this is probably a precedent of how it is going to be. That's going to be the format. So that really is disappointing. All right, folks. Well, we're just going to have to get people on our show that we interact with. And that John and I are going to be like, not getting a word in edgewise with each other.
If that's going to be the format for the member portion that rolls out on Tuesday, you can't call it an interview because that's just false advertising, because all it is that person just talking about what they do the whole time and then it's over.
Yeah. And John, did they? Was it premised as an interview?
I know in previous advertisements they would say they would interview a member of the community, but I didn't really see Tunde post anything about, I had a great conversation with so-and-so doctor. I didn't see any of that kind of wording, but I wouldn't consider it an interview because it's just very one-sided. So,
all right. Well, for those interns or management that are listening to the show today, John and I are available. If you'd like us to interact with your members that you'd like to interview, we're available for hire. And we can certainly help you out.
Because if they asked me to be on Fitness Flipped and I wasn't going to be talking to Phoebe, I was just going to be talking about what I do. I wouldn't be very into that.
Yeah. You mean today?
It just seemed very awkward because this doctor is just talking the whole time. And it's like she pauses for a second and there's no like response. You want to hear Tunde go like,
yeah.
So it's like it's like there's nobody else there listening to what this person is saying. She's just on her own.
So I'm curious to hear.
It's strange.
I'm curious to hear for you folks that are listening to our podcast today or are watching us on YouTube, whether you felt the same way and what your thoughts were. It was funny because a couple of people, obviously reached out to me and said, nothing, it doesn't have a patch on your show. And I said, look, it's a very different concept.
Totally different.
The concept of what they're doing is very different to what you and I do. I mean, we're sharing news about Peloton that we're hoping is going to be, heard it here first news for most part, but at least sharing what's been happening within the week. So there's no comparison from that perspective. And I don't want anyone to think that there should be, because there isn't. But that is interesting. And I would like to hear what other folks have to say, because I think the premise of what they're doing is great, but I think you have a really valid point. And that is very disappointing if there isn't that interaction, with her, because what's it all about then? We just don't want to hear people just, blabbering away.
But it's very well produced, and it's very polished. They have good audio effects,
sound, and
so that's all top notch. So
okay.
They don't have the audio, the technical effects, the issues that we sometimes encounter from time to time.
It's okay. We do this for fun. We're not out there to be professional. We want to just have you guys enjoy what we have to hear. And yes, we have certainly perfected our little get up over the last 18 months for sure. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. All right, good stuff. All right, tell us what's next.
So
some unhappy people.
In case you haven't noticed, if you've looked a little ahead towards the end of March, you'll see there's a few days in a row of just encore classes. So from March 20th, which I think March 20th is
Sunday.
A Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
So it's basically a Sunday through Tuesday. So March 20th through the 22nd, there's no live classes from London or from the New York studio. There hasn't been an initial statement, but it is going to be a pause and reflect break. So stay tuned for an official announcement henceforth.
I do know that it's Selena's wedding that weekend. So whether she timed it for a reason or not, I'm sure there'll be a lot of the US instructors that will be there. But that was a little kind of frustrating when you suddenly saw it. It was like, oh, okay. But as we said to you guys 1,000 times, there is so much on demand. And truthfully, one can't get to everything. I mean, it's a great opportunity to catch up on some great rides. And I think hopefully, keep notes of these picks of the week that we give you. And now Chris actually does have them on the website as well, which is fantastic. So if there's some really good picks of the week, bookmark those or keep them in mind for those 3 days when there won't be anything on live, which I think will be cool.
It's actually kind of nice. So one way of looking at it, though, the other side of the coin, it's actually kind of nice for me because I'm not looking at the live schedule, trying to figure out how many things I can cram. I can just
you just have a break. It's a break. It's a break for us too. Yeah. And don't be compelled that you have to get on. Yeah.
Speaking of Selena, do you know, is she going on a destination wedding? Because I thought it was kind of strange she was getting married in the middle of March.
Florida. She is. Florida. She is getting married down in Florida. Okay. She is getting down in Florida. Gotcha. So,
Well, shifting gears a little bit, we have a new artist series this past week, Donna Summer. It includes 6 classes over 5 modalities that are happening live. There's 2 pre-recorded on-demand drops, but Ross Rayburn, John Hoskins, Maddie Majacomo, Rebecca, Cody, Leanne. We have a complete list on pelobuddy.com.
Yeah, but that's a fun, I love Donna Summer. I think that's a fun artist series to have. Her music is, just so upbeat and fun. I'm curious to see how Ross is going to do a yoga flow with Donna Summer, but I haven't had an opportunity to jump on that. So that's something that's definitely bookmarked, which will be good.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with Cody because he had a Wednesday night Donna Summer ride. Then I was very excited because he was doing 2 back-to-back 20-minute rides at noon on Thursday. Those got canceled, and Dennis took those over because I did them both live with Dennis. It was a 20-minute Tabata followed by a 20-minute 60s ride. So I don't know, he never says anything or why he had to cancel it, but they were all of a sudden just gone. But anyway, there's a 30-minute yoga flow with Ross. 10-minute post-run stretch with John Hosking, that dropped on demand. 30-minute Donna Summer run with Maddie. 20-minute core strength with Rebecca. The Cody ride, which we mentioned, and a 10-minute cool-down ride with Leanne that dropped on demand.
Yeah.
So stack it up. And there is an artist series badge that you'll expect for doing any of those classes. And awesome. You also may receive a Women's History Month badge as well.
Yeah, it's all about the women this month. All about the women.
And if you are, see the complete list of badges on the Pelo Buddy website. That Chris Lewis is very, very proud of his whole breakdown.
Badge collection.
Yes,
his badge collection.
Nicely displayed there. Yes.
Too funny. We need a case. We need a case for these badges. Well, in case you are looking for certain classes, folks, this past week, actually, Peloton purged a small number of short strength classes. From what we see, it appears that all 5-minute glutes and legs toning classes have been removed. So if you're looking for those, has it got to do with the whole, strength guide that's going to be coming out? Has it got to do with that? We're not sure. There's certainly speculation, but all the 5-minute glutes and legs have been purged. So those are gone. And is anyone still doing Lanebreak? There are 6 new Lanebreak classes that dropped this past week as well. 4 of them, I believe, were featuring songs with Mary J. Blige, and then there was a David Guetta one, and they are being offered at new levels. I know I was very enthusiastic when Lanebreak first came out, and I really did enjoy it. But honestly, folks, I haven't been able to jump back on. There's just so much on the platform, and in trying to fit in the tread and the bike and the floor, there's a lot. So I think Lanebreak will probably be for a specific, genre of people that just prefer not to listen to an instructor and want to be on the bike and want a purpose, rather than for us folks that love our instructors and want to be on those live rides with them. So, there just is not enough time to do everything. So I think that, you got to just pick and choose.
Yeah, it just takes a back seat to everything else for me.
It does.
And I've kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah. Me too. I have to be honest. As I said, it's just not. So I'm curious to hear from you guys. If you guys are still enjoying it and still doing Lanebreak, we would love to hear from you guys to hear whether, it is still out there and folks are still doing it. But that's just mine and John's perspective for now.
Yeah. Well, shifting into legal news, Peloton's Leaderboard patent was upheld recently. So there's 2 new developments last week in Peloton's ongoing legal saga in some of their battles. The first one, Peloton received a win in court on March 2nd when the Patent Trial and Appeals Board declared that their Leaderboard patent was valid. Echelon has been attempting to convince the board to void Peloton's patent because it covers an obvious invention. The patent relates to the digital leaderboard that measures competition between users on live and on-demand classes. And as Law 360 reports, the board sided with Peloton, finding that Peloton's commercial success was largely tied to its grip on a computerized exercise system patent. And so what this means, this was a win for Peloton, as in January, the PTAB declared that 2 other patents Peloton owned were invalid. So Peloton is not simply relying on old patents. However, just last November, they were issued a new one covering some of the functionality and core software interface of the Peloton experience. And then Peloton immediately filed 2 lawsuits against Echelon and iFit, who is the maker of NordicTrack, as a result. And then the second development, if you're still following with me, the second development last week was a Peloton complaint filed against iFit. Law 360 reports in a complaint filed last Thursday, Peloton said that when it first rolled out its stationary bikes and treadmills, which allows subscribers to remotely participate in stream classes, its rival NordicTrack, maker iFit Incorporated, only offered a simplistic suite of fitness offerings that allowed users to follow along to pre-recorded classes. To keep up with Peloton, iFit resorted to IP theft, Peloton said. So Peloton is now looking to block iFit from importing its at-home fitness equipment that they argue is ripping off Peloton's interactive exercise systems. And in addition, Peloton has requested a cease and desist that would prevent iFit from selling and advertising infringing on their products. And this is the latest in an ongoing, so they seem to just lately be going back and forth, iFit and Peloton. Just last month, iFit filed a complaint with the International Trade Commission asking them to block Peloton's import of Peloton's Bike Plus devices due to an alleged iFit patent infringement. Neither Peloton, Echelon, nor iFit have provided any comments to the media in light of any of those recent developments that Law 360 has been reporting on. So stay tuned.
Yeah, guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Yeah.
Well, moving on to other news. So Peloton will be included now in Verizon's new platform called Verizon Plus Play, which allows Verizon customers to view and manage all of their streaming subscriptions from one location. Verizon made the announcement at their most recent investor event Customers will have exclusive access to Plus Play, a groundbreaking platform that allows users to discover, purchase, manage some of their favorite subscriptions across entertainment, audio, gaming, fitness, music, lifestyle, and more, all in one place. So along with Peloton, companies like Netflix, Disney Plus, ESPN, Discovery Plus are included in the brand new platform. And it comes as no additional charge to Verizon customers. It's just a nice, clean way to see everything that you might subscribe to streaming-wise, to manage all of those different subscriptions or access them from one. I guess it's an app of some sorts. I don't have Verizon personally. I don't have. I'm not a Verizon's, mobile customer
me
or
neither.
Or Verizon Fios, for the TV. But they did say by 2024, the average streamer will subscribe to more than 5 different services. So it's just a nice, clean way to kind of just, go to them all directly from one single app, one single location.
Awesome. Great.
And
I guess we roll a
select group of customers at the end of the month. So its full release is coming later this year.
Excellent. All right, good stuff. Well, guess we are right into Instructor in the News. So we got through that pretty quickly, John, with all those little bits and pieces. All right, folks, as far as instructors in the news go, we'll start up first with Robin. Robin Arzon was announced that she is the first GSTQ clothing brand ambassador. Robin had stated on social media that Danny Garcia, the founder of GSTQ, is a trailblazer in the Latinx community. Robin says she's an entrepreneur, an athlete, and a force to be reckoned with in fashion. So with so many of our values aligned, this partnership just made sense. That's pretty cool for Robin to be kind of repping this clothing brand. I'm not familiar with them, but certainly we'll look into it a little bit more, but good for Robin. So she is the brand ambassador.
Well, Tunde was recently interviewed by Ebony talking about her new podcast, Fitness Flipped. And we have the article linked on pelobuddy.com, but she did say regarding her season 1 guest list has some star power in there. And I thought it was exciting to see that one of her recent guests she'll have on the show is actor Sterling K. Brown from the show. What's the show called?
Yes.
What's my, now I can't even, This Is Us.
This Is Us. Thank you. Yes.
And he was also Christopher Darden in the O.J. Simpson series.
Got it.
She said it was incredible to speak with him. So I'm looking forward to that interview. But she talks more in detail about the podcast and some of the previous guests and her background in hosting, a digial format, because she does sound very much like a natural. She has a real good sort of radio speaking voice. So it was interesting.
All right, good. And the lovely Bradley Rose is getting some more airtime this week. Shape.com got to interview Bradley, where he talks about how he almost quit fitness for good after his stroke, until Peloton came knocking on the door and gave him a chance. So today, Shape says he is one of Peloton's star instructors. The article does share Bradley's enthusiasm for animal metaphors, and he is clearly a massive animal lover. But he does talk about folks, clickety-clacking into their shoes and his little ducklings, and his bike, the Pegasus. But he also, his ability to make pedaling to classical music seem quite appropriate, and the infectious energy of a caffeine connoisseur. But it does also go on to share a lot of Bradley's story that hasn't been heard before. So he talks about growing up in rural Norfolk in the UK, where he was actually a skilled cricket player, which I thought was kind of interesting. But off the field, his passion for acting is really what took him across the pond to New York City at just 23. So at 23, he did in fact cross the pond, and he arrived in the States with that American dream. His was in hopes of pursuing being in front of a camera. He did share how he did find success in film and television in the first few years. But as any actor can tell you, in the beginning, it isn't always so easy. And even while you're auditioning and working hard to get into different roles, sometimes you really do need a second job. And he was presented with exactly. And he was presented with an opportunity, to channel his athletic experience. And he went to work in a gym. So while still auditioning, he joined, as we've told you before, the Rumble boxing team in New York. But that, as again, we shared in a previous article that he was in just last week, of course, that turned quite differently for him when he had his stroke. So the article, was fabulous, was really fabulous. And I do encourage you guys to head over to pelobuddy.com where you can find out more about him. And it just kind of had a different spin. It wasn't quite focused just on the stroke, but a little bit more about his background before that and his acting career. So, good for Bradley. And then, John, we will roll right into picks of the week. So what we're going to do this week, folks, I do have quite a few, as I'm sure John does too. Was that Maddie coming in and shaking her collar?
She flapped her ears so loudly.
All
right, I closed the door now.
All right.
Picks of the week,
Picks of the week. I think what we have decided to do, instead of me just rambling them all off as I've done previously, I'll go ahead and give you my picks of the week. John will give you his picks of the week, and then we will alternate and give you members' picks of the week. And we have really, really enjoyed folks sharing what their picks of the week are, because very often they are different to John's and Al's. Every now and again, we do get the same. But we do appreciate you taking the time to share, and I think that community members are really enjoying that. So, John, I go ahead and kick it off. Is that good?
All right. Yeah, sure.
All
right. I'm going to start. I'm going to start on the tread with our boy Jermaine Johnson, JJ. So he did a 30-minute 90s power walk on Monday the 7th, which I really enjoyed. He had a good mix of Janet Jackson, Naughty by Nature, Nirvana, Prince. So he kind of covered a good wide spectrum of 90s music. So solid JJ power walk there. And then switching back to the bike, Alex Toussaint, I was really excited to see him. He was subbing for Matt Wilper's early morning Wednesday time slot. He taught a 6 a.m. on Wednesday the 9th. He taught a 6 a.m. 30-minute Tabata ride. And I was actually really proud of myself because I have gotten off riding early in the morning for the past couple months. I would set my alarm every now and then, and I would always just snooze it out and start my workouts later, around 9 in the morning. But I actually made it. I actually got up, clipped in, and it was a great ride. He had, Eminem, he had some Kanye in there. It wasn't like excruciatingly bad like most people immediately when they hear Tabata, they just assume the worst, the hardest. As of this afternoon, it had, as of, the time of recording this, it had an 8.3 on the difficulty scale. So not like super hard. Not super annoying. But it was a great ride. And I know a couple months back, maybe in November, I think, he in the pre-show of a Saturday Club Bangers, or no, maybe it was a Wednesday morning ride. We used to teach Wednesday mornings at like 7:30. For some reason, he doesn't do those anymore. But he was complaining, and he was so mad at himself for spending $9 at Starbucks on a small drink and a croissant. And so that morning when I wrote it, I changed my leaderboard info to I wrote $9 at Starbucks again, and towards the end of the ride, towards the end of the ride, he looked down and he said, "Kenny Banya, no, man, it was too early. Starbucks wasn't open yet, but I'm already lit up."
I love it.
So that was a good one. And then switching back to the tread, Selena Samuela, she had a 30-minute tread core boot camp from Wednesday the 9th. I love all these the March 9th classes.
Your noise.
Core tread boot camp. She did, oh man, she killed me. She did sprints on the tread at one point at, I think we got up to an incline of 8. So I was sprinting at an 8 incline. The floor section wasn't as bad, you know, some good core stuff. She played some Diana Ross, U2, Prince, and Excess, Beatles, so nice mix of different genres. But I messaged her. I was like, "Dude, what was up with those sprintings on the inclines, those sprints?" And she said, "Oh, I didn't have a chance to work out before this class, so I figured I would get in everything on what I taught." So like, okay, thanks, dude. And switching back, keeping it with the boot camps, switching over to the bike now. Cody's 45-minute full body boot camp from Thursday, March 3rd. He didn't have a boot camp this past week, which was kind of a bummer because I always look forward to his Thursday, usually their noontime bike boot camps, but he didn't have one this past week. But the one the week before was solid, and it was filled with a lot of Dua Lipa, which I really enjoyed. There was good, you know, he was dancing on the bike, he was dancing on the floor in between sections. So good full body workout for your entire bod. So yeah, those are my 4.
Awesome. Yeah, those are some good ones, definitely. All right, so I'm going to go off with the first one, which I'm sure you all expect is going to be, but I was really happy to see. No, but well. Shush. It's a duo, and I was really pleased to see how many of the members felt the same way that I did. But we kicked off Women's History Month with the 2-for-1 with Hannah and Leanne on Sunday morning, and I do have to say, John, you know, it's so wonderful to see the instructors together. You know, we've seen Alex and Tunde together. We've seen Hannah and Cliff. I love that 2-for-1 that they did. But what I absolutely loved was seeing Hannah and Leanne together 2 years down the road and how much they've both grown, specifically Hannah. She was just a few months in to her Peloton journey when she did the first 2-for-1 back in 2020, and seeing her on the bike with Leanne dominating. I mean, she and their energy between the two of them was truly, truly amazing. I mean, the songs that they picked was, you know, it was all women. I mean, all women tracks, from Whitney's I'm Every Woman to Aretha Franklin's Sisters Doing It for Themselves, Destiny's Child. They did Don't Rain on My Parade, Linda Ida. I mean, Energy, Disclosure, WAP with Megan Thee Stallion. And you should have seen Leanne. I mean, it was so funny. A lot of Leanne fans didn't
I assume
love
it was the censored version.
It was the censored version. It was. Okay. But even so, I mean, it was really, a lot of the Leanne, regulars were like, okay, did you have to throw that in? Like, it just wasn't Leanne's genre for sure. Yeah. And of course, they ended it up with Spice Girls, and the two of them had choreographed and did the moves together. Peloton have obviously had fun. I'm sure everybody's seen the 5-second, clip that they've put out there of the two of them. But I do have to say, folks, that it is truly a ride that is just energized. I got to tell you, it wasn't exceptionally hard. It was just fun. It was fun. And there was no question that not only myself, but other members enjoyed that too. So I'm going to throw out their names since we're on there. And that is, so Nick Joy, hashtag Ashley6504, hashtag Lisa Sparks Zen, Cindy Lou Who You, KT Run, Carol L. List Thompson, Care Paler, Tia Maria Spins, Pello Quiche, Janie Girl 111 and Nitty Lion Co. are all fellow riders with me that absolutely loved the ride. So I'm so glad that so many of you that watched the show loved it too. Next up is a 30-minute Sam Yo Broadway ride. It was from past Thursday, the 10th. And John, I got to tell you, I don't ride often with Sam, and I don't know why I don't, because he was so into this ride. I mean, he dressed up for it. He had everything going for him. But what I found, and I'm just going to pull it up because I want to make sure that I get the name of the song that he used that just kind of took my breath away. He got very emotional, and he spoke about how, it was also all about women. It was a Women's History Month Broadway ride. So we picked all, women tracks from Hairspray. He had Good Morning Baltimore, which I always kind of chuckle being a Marylander myself and a Crabby to hear the instructors, sing Good Morning Baltimore is always cute. He had Opening Up from Waitress. He had Liza Minnelli with Cabaret. But then he had Firework from Moulin Rouge, the Katy Perry Fireworks song. And he spoke about how his grandmother played such a vital part in him and his brother as immigrants in the UK. And he got incredibly emotional. And I had written something on social about it, and he messaged me back. He saw it and he messaged me back. And he said, I was kind of somewhat embarrassed, but that's just who I am and how I feel. And I said, don't ever change. I said, as members, we love to see that. We love to see you guys throw out your emotions there because it makes it real for us.
Vulnerability. Right, exactly.
That 100%. So huge kudos to Sam on that ride. And then I have a new superstar. Our boy Benny Adobe.
Who's your flavor of the month?
My cycling flavor of the month is our boy Benny. He did a 15-minute EDM from Sunday, March the 6th. John, if you haven't done it, you have to do it. It was fantastic.
Did he play Sandstorm?
He did not play Sandstorm. No, he did not play Sandstorm.
Was there any Avicii?
But he played a lot of remixes. So I guess they were maybe German. I think they were German
DJs.
DJs or musicians. But he had I didn't recognize the artists, but obviously recognized the song. So one of them that I loved was Gimme, 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 the other song. Gumper and Dadoni, I guess, are the artists. He had Ace of Base, All That She Wants, which was also a remix. He had Lizzo's Boys, with Juice Boys. He had We Made It with LNY, TNZ, and The Chemist. And then he did a remix, Dolly Parton and Destructo of Jolene. Just 15 minutes. Again, it's somewhat frustrating not being able to really understand everything. He has started throwing in a lot of English. And he assures me that he is pushing to get subtitles, on these rides. And in fact, I reached out to Cliff after Cliff had put out that, I don't know if you guys saw that on Peloton as well. I guess Cliff had a reel on how you can understand a German ride, and he had everything, which was kind of cool. And I said to Cliff, come on, dude, you guys have to get subtitles on there because you guys are being wasted. You're a man. And I said this last week. I think I said this last week. So I'm jumping on.
Would probably be more inclined to work out with them if they had that
sure.
option, or at least it'd be more easy to, with the language barrier. I know Benny's father is going to be very excited to hear that his son made another pick of the week because apparently he likes to listen or watch Pelo Buddy. So shout out to Benny's dad. One thing I did I noticed Benny likes to say in German a lot during the ride. He likes to go, and he says it very enthusiastically. He goes, "Du can't." And so I messaged him and I wrote it out. I didn't know the correct, spelling of it, but I said, "You say "du can't" a lot in class. What does that mean?" And he said he took it from Robin. The English, it translates to "you can." So whenever you hear him say "du can't," because he sometimes flares that arm out. I'd always hear him say that, and so I was always curious what that meant. So it means you can. So
I love it.
I love it. Translation there. Yeah.
And then switching gears to the tread. So Susie Chan had a 30-minute Women History Month run as part of her Power Stack. So we spoke about last week these Power Stacks that the instructors were doing. And it was on the 8th at 1:30 Eastern. And it was amazing. My good buddy, Daisy Mack, thought so as well. And Daisy Mack had said, so inspirational. And truly, Susie is. She is a remarkable human. I find her, just her ethics and how she continues to, work so hard, and she does so much with her running in her career. And I just absolutely adore her. And this run was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then, guys, I got to do it. I'm sorry. But my boy, John Husking, did a 30-minute hike on Thursday, the 10. And John, oh my God, I was like melting.
Amazing.
No, but listen to what he did. So John loves to tell a story. So when he works out, when he does his walks, he loves to tell a story. And I've shared with you guys, he's taken us to Mykonos, he's taken us to Scotland, he's all over the place. He took me to South Africa, to Cape Town, up Table Mountain. And this ex-Safa was absolutely just loving every minute of it. I put together a little montage of his little excerpts and put it on my social media. So feel free to go and take a look at Siglo 3. But it really was fantastic. And I love the way we hiked up Table Mountain. And, as somebody that grew up there, and, I said it to him, I'll say it to you guys, you can take the girl out of Cape Town, but you can't take Cape Town out of the girl. So it was very moving for me, really moving, and an amazing hike. We didn't get to 12 and a half or 15, we got to 8, as far as incline went. But let me tell you, we were at 8, at a brisk 5 walk. We were at 5 on the cadence. So it was fantastic. And what you needed after you hiked is a good stretch. So my next pick of the week is a 10-minute full body stretch with Jermaine Johnson. That dropped actually the week before last. It was on Tuesday, March the 1st. But I just love doing these 10-minute stretches. I just don't find the 5 minutes enough. And I find that the tread coaches do really great stretches, getting you down on the floor and really working your legs well. So Jermaine dropped a 10-minute. Now, of course, Donna Summer is going to be next week's pick of the week. But for this week, it's got to be Jermaine. Switching to yoga, a 30-minute beginner morning yoga flow with Aditi from Tuesday, the 8th, was fantastic. For beginners that are out there, I've spoken to you guys a lot about the fact that I'm really loving yoga, but I find that the advanced is just way too, I'm managing some intermediate, but this yoga flow was just a beautiful yoga flow, and I really enjoyed it, 30 minutes. And then I did a 20-minute restorative yoga with Anna Greenberg. And it's a very different concept. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this restorative yoga, it really is somewhat of a meditation, but it is more of in a yoga type pose. So you pretty much lie down, you have your yoga blankets, we set up with a cushion and a yoga block and a blanket over us and a blanket within our legs. And it was 20 minutes, but if you just need and certainly I know for myself, and I know you with, our kind of personalities that we have, sometimes it's really cool just to, zone out and enjoy that peace and quiet. And that really was fantastic. And then next up are the members' picks of the week. So I will go ahead and kick it off. Maddie Majacomo did a 30-minute country pop walk. It dropped on the 4th of March at 8:05. And Black in a Prosecco, I believe I pronounced it right, said, I chose it because I was tired and didn't feel like a workout and I like country and thought it might go fast with a good playlist. Had never known Maddie to do country. It was an awesome playlist of women of country music in honor of Women's History Month. A lot of classics, such great song choices. The walk went by so fast that I've actually bookmarked it. So thank you so much for that recommendation. That sounds like it's an awesome one.
And who
John,
also
you're
has
up
really
next.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the subject of country, who has really good country rides, really good country playlists is Allie Love.
Oh, really?
She plays really good country music, like the kind of country music that I like, the more mainstream.
Okay, and so does Selena.
But
Selena Samuela does great country stuff as well, I have to say.
Yeah, because Dennis does like more older Texas country.
Okay.
Like George Strait, like the older, country stars.
Got it.
But yes, so from our member picks, a couple members had recommended Jess King's live DJ ride with DJ John Michael it's a 30-minute DJ ride from March 4th from, I know this person. I don't know, maybe I'm not pronouncing it. Flage. I know I messaged with them on Instagram. And Valerie Hiker. They said loved her energy and the workouts. Awesome.
And then Bradley Rose. Bradley had a 30-minute 2010s pop ride. It dropped on the 5th. So March the 5th at 7 a.m. Eastern. Let's try this again. Push the Bike Nico. I cannot imagine being an instructor. Trying to say some of these leaderboard names. Guys, seriously. But Push the Bike Nico said Bradley's energy was infectious and absolutely loved that ride. So thank you for that recommendation.
And switching over to the German instructors, member leaderboard named Tunde Holmes recommends Jeffrey McEachern's 15-minute recovery run from March 7th. He says has one of the best 90s playlists.
Awesome. And
I haven't run with the German.
No, me neither.
That's another. I need to, I'm all into Benny now on the bike, but I need to hit up the German shred.
Yeah, Jeffrey's very active on as well. I've done a couple things, a couple runs. Yeah, and also he tends to jump on and high fives. So he's high fived me a couple times on a run, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
Alex Desant did a 20-minute 90s hip-hop ride. It was from the 7th at 6:30 p.m. And Ride for Bulldogs said, great 50-cent selection. So thanks for that recommendation, Ride for Bulldogs.
And we have a few members recommending my favorite instructor, Jen Sherman, her 30-minute Women's History Month Power Stack ride. I did this one live. It's from March 8th. But Minnie, 1979, Fit Happy Gabby, Shannon Jill, I know her, and Bertha C. Runs MD all recommend that one. They said great music, very inspirational. I know it. It tugged on a lot of folks' heartstrings because she talked about her kids and her daughter Carly. So I figured that one would show up, that a few members would submit that one.
That's awesome. And then giving some love to Hannah Corbin. Hannah did a 10-minute hip-hop bar class on the 9th. Got to say it now. You've freaking got me saying that. It was at 5:40 p.m. Eastern time, and its Mama Mel said, quick and effective bun burner. So I forget about those bar classes. I have another friend, Atomic Blonde One, recommends her all the time to me. So that's awesome. Thank you. It's Mama Mel, excuse me.
And switching over to Ben Aldis, he had a 45-minute Power Zone endurance ride. It was classic rock. I was actually on this one. I only made it halfway through because I had a scheduled service call for my bike, and the technician showed up halfway through the ride, so I had to jump off. So I only got I'm probably going to delete it off my history because it's only half a ride. But the first half was great. I can attest to that. But this one was submitted by a leaderboard named JB Mace, and he said, "Great start to the PZ Challenge."
Awesome.
From March 8th, if I didn't mention the date there.
All right. And also sticking with March 8th, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Ross Rayburn did a 20-minute slow flow. Alex Maples 5 to 9 said it was focused. Oh, I don't know. I can't read. I must have typed this incorrectly, or it was typed incorrectly, but basically said it was amazing. So thanks for that.
And then we had a couple members, Beth A. Hobbs and Leah Seychelles. Thank you, control room. They said that Bex Gentry's 30-minute Women's History Month run from the 8th as well was truly inspirational.
Excellent. And I think last up is Camilla Ramon. Camilla did a 20 minutes Todo Ritmo ride, also on the 8th, 8 p.m. Vamos Maria said her Spanish classes have awesome music. And she does look like she is a ton of fun. So that's another instructor that I do need to jump on. I probably can understand a little bit more Spanish than I can German. So Camilla is somebody that she just seems like she is a hoot. Just having followed her.
She has if you haven't gone on TikTok, I've actually just started following her on TikTok, but she has a lot of really funny TikToks. And I've reshared some of her TikToks in my Insta stories.
I think that's how I got to learn about her.
She sounds like
more.
She has a really funny sense of humor. So I need to hit up her 6 a.m. Monday ride one of these days that she took over for Olivia a while back.
All right.
And a lot of them, and most of them are usually in English. So it's not like, it's not like with the German instructors, they're always teaching in German. She, it seems to be slanted more English classes that she does for the most part.
Got it.
And then we had a leaderboard named Nicole Banner recommended Robin Arzon's 20-minute low impact ride from the 9th. I was on this one as well. Jackie and I did this one together. She said it had a self-love theme and so many great sort of self-love themed songs. I know she played Haley Steinfeld's Love Myself on that one, but that was a good ride. I can attest to that one
too. Awesome. Well, folks, it's a lot we throw, but I think it's fun. I think, it gives folks an opportunity. And as I said last week, you can head over to pelobuddy.com. Chris does list them all there. So, if you really want to catch what we said, and if there's something that appealed to you, definitely head over to pelobuddy.com to grab which ones are picks of the week. So I guess, John, that just about wraps it all up. It was a lot. It was like you. Well, again, folks, as always, we really do appreciate, the momentum's picked up. There are so many more of you jumping on, whether it be on YouTube, getting to see John and I, or whether it's on one of the podcasts. It definitely is fun having so many more of you jumping on and getting to listen to us. And again, as John said at the beginning of the show, we welcome, feedback. So if there's stuff, this was a great way of members saying they wanted to hear members' picks of the weeks, and we've thrown that in now as well. So we love that. If there's anything else that you guys recommend, we do like the interview part of it too. So the show just is so long that we always feel that if we throw in an interview, no one's going to listen because it's just too much of John Pruitt and Amanda Siegel. But certainly something we will consider. So yeah, please continue to give us feedback, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And we look forward to seeing you all on the leaderboard. So from me here, bye everybody.
And from me here in Michigan, thank you for tuning in, listening and watching us. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.